everybody, and welcome to Tales from the Fog. I'm your host, Casey, and with me, as always, is the wonderful and amazing Veronica. How are you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm great. Happy New Year, everybody. It's a new year.
We made it.
We did. We made it.
Betty White's alive, and I couldn't be happier.
So we had a little bit of a gap in the podcast. We weren't really planning on it. We were planning on doing a show, but certain things came up. We went to Sinister Pointe. We were going to record the next day, and we ended up working it. So that's what we're going to be talking about on this podcast. We're going to talk about it from a guest perspective, and we're going to be talking about it from a talent perspective. And then we were going to record during the next week in order to get it out, and we had a friend that was in the hospital, and we got one more chance to go see them, and it's pretty hard to get into the hospital to see them, so we had to take the chance and go visit them just because we didn't know if we were going to get another chance, so we postponed the podcast in order to do all those things, and I'm glad we did, because it's they're doing much better. They're out of the hospital now. Everything's great. And, So, how has your new year been, Veronica?
So far, the new year has been pretty exciting. We've been going through the motions so far. We're back to work. Kids go back to school tomorrow. Real life is kind of kicked in, but the New Year's weekend was really fun. We got to see a very old friend of mine that I've known for close to a decade. She got married on Saturday night, and that was beautiful and awesome. And then we also got to hang out with some friends of ours over New Year's and watch the young kids blow stuff up and played beer pong and had a lot of fun. Didn't get hungover.
No, it wasn't too bad.
No, we did pretty good.
Yeah, it was fun. And you won your first ever beer pong game.
Ever.
So that's pretty cool.
In my life. That was crazy.
I got creamed.
Yeah. Well, we were on our one team, and we did awful.
Yeah.
The kids who win all the time won against us. We sunk 2 balls and then had to drink all the booze. Actually, they said we were so far behind that we can just leave the alcohol and just drink ours.
Yeah, and leave it for the next game.
Yeah.
But to be fair, we were up against people that host beer pong parties at bars, so they are basically professional beer pong players.
They might be able to consider themselves professional because they've actually had tournaments and won.
Yeah.
So they get earnings from playing beer pong.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So on a fluke, we won. The all-girl team won pretty handily.
Yeah, you guys crushed them. That was good.
That was interesting. And then the second time we played, we got creamed. No, we didn't get
creamed.
No, you didn't
get creamed.
It was head-to-head.
Yeah, it was head-to-head down to the last 2, I think.
Yeah, it was 2-1, and then we lost the last one. And then we played one more time, and it was the same thing. It was head-to-head the whole way. We just traded shots.
Yeah.
Until they won.
Yeah. It was good times.
Yeah, that game, I'm convinced that it is a skill, but I've never had it. So the fact that we won at all is pure fluke to me. There's no skill behind any of my lurching anything across the table.
Yeah.
But I'm sure that it's calculated for somebody. I could see it being calculated for them, where they just know what to do.
Yeah.
Kind of like poker. There are rules, there are ways one could get good at it. I just don't know what that is.
Poker's just fun.
Mm-hmm.
So speaking of fun, let's talk about Sinister Pointe's not-so-merry holiday haunt.
Oh my God.
So this is the first time that we've ever gone as a guest. The very first year we were part of the talent. Mm-hmm. That was back in 2011. 2012, I think I came back for 1 or 2 nights of their run. Mm-hmm. Can't remember. But this was the first time that we've actually had the chance to go as a guest. So we knew kind of what it was, but from a guest perspective, it's quite an event to go through.
It was not what I expected. Now, to be fair, I didn't have any expectations. Yeah. I know what Sinister Pointe's capable of, and I know knowing the people behind it, I can imagine that it can get pretty bizarre, but I didn't expect it to come together in the way that it came together.
Yeah.
And it was not a disappointment. it was, well, I guess to explain that, we'd have to go through, do you want to go, like, experience by experience? Since it's over and it's not really, like, a spoiler.
Yeah, we can spoil the hell out of this thing.
Okay.
So let's talk about it, because what happened was is we went as guests, and because we're part of the podcast, they gave us an all-night pass where we can go through over and over and over if we wanted. So we ended up going through twice so we can see as much as we possibly could. Because we knew there was 2 different paths through it. Apparently, we missed one of the rooms both times we went through. I guess there was a third way you could go in one of the sections that we never went, which I heard was pretty brutal.
I'm glad we didn't have to go through there.
But so let's just go. We'll go through the first way and then the second way. So it was broken up into naughty and nice, so you could pick your path. So the first time we went through, we did naughty.
You might actually want to back up. Before you even get to decide if you want to take the naughty or nice path.
That's right. Yeah.
You get to take a picture with dirty-ass Santa Claus. And they have a couple different actors who play Santa Claus. The night that we went was someone that we had worked with at Sinister Pointe before.
Yeah.
Who is very skilled at this particular character. And it's...
Well, he created this character. He was the very first Santa Claus at the Not So Merry Holiday Haunt. So he's been doing it, and I was surprised he was still doing it. This is his 5th year playing Santa, and he's the most grotesque, dirty Santa you'll ever meet.
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to explain. Like, if you have daddy issues or anything, then it's going to hit you particularly hard, because he's kind of like that nasty old drunk, really horny, really gross, just awful persona of this dude. And then he's Santa Claus role, which is another paternal thing. Like, it's just a whole psychological, horrible thing.
Mm-hmm.
But in the queue, you're standing outside and everyone's just waiting, talent's getting set up, whatever they're doing inside, and Santa Claus rolls out and he's got a bottle of bourbon and a cigarette, and he's in... Does he have his shirt on even? I think he's got like a wife beater.
I think he has a wife beater and then the red coat on top.
Yeah, and his Santa drawers on, and his boots and everything like that. But it's all just unkempt, and it's like dirty and bloody and stained with God knows what. And there's like accessories added underneath the costume that you're supposed to be able to notice.
Yeah, he has quite a large Yule log.
Yeah, like down to the knee, and he'll show you. He'll let you touch it if you are bold enough to.
Yeah.
So that's Santa Claus. So that's the intro to this event that you're going through, and it's a very accurate introduction into what you're about to go through.
Yeah, if you can't get past Santa, you're not going to make it through any other part of this maze, because it goes downhill quickly after that. In
the most beautiful, poetic way possible. So we got introduced to Santa, and he just came out and was like kind of working the crowd for a while before the thing officially opened. And then they opened and they started letting people in. And the first thing they do in Sinister Pointe fashion is you get your picture taken. So guess who you get to take your picture with? It's good old nasty ass Santa Claus. And you sit on his lap and he has you pose in crude ways and do crude things, and the level of crudeness depends on the guest at that point. You can get super crazy. You can just be a little bit more modest. As much as a wild child I like to think I am, I'm actually more on the modest side, and I didn't get too crazy.
I moved the camera.
Yeah, Casey showed off his delicious booty. He wanted me to take off my shirt. I said, no, thank you. Everyone's got their boundaries. I'm sure there are plenty of titties. Just plenty of them everywhere.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure that poor lady working the camera got flashed on.
Yeah.
With all sorts of nasty bits.
Lots of wing-wangs, lots of buttholes, just, accurate. So after you take your picture with Santa, and you get a couple of poses, and, one that you could show your parents, one that you can't show your parents. You can choose between the two. And then now you get to choose between naughty and nice.
Yep. And it's been a while since we went through, so we're going to have to try to remember this together.
We went through naughty first.
So we did naughty first. And the first room that you go through in the naughty side, I want to say, was it the room with the guy in drag?
I think it might have been the first thing we go through. Yeah, because the hallway wasn't until later.
Yeah.
So yeah, the first, or close to the first room you go through is the boudoir.
Yeah, so you end up in this, I don't know, what would you call it?
A boudoir,
A boudoir.
Yes.
With a guy in Christmas lingerie.
Yeah, well, he's facing away from you, and he's got this long, beautiful black hair.
Yeah.
And legs for days, and then it turns around, and it's this bearded man. Very manly man.
Yeah.
And he plays it like a man, and it's, it's charming and it's gross, and it was, disturbing if you really are uncomfortable. If the Santa Claus didn't scare you away, you should be okay with this.
Yeah.
But, again, it depended on the guest, the level of creativity, we'll say.
This whole maze, the more it's based on your interactions, so the more you participate as a guest, the more you get out of it. So I could see people that are a little more uptight that went through it and probably didn't have as much fun.
Yeah.
Because you really have to let yourself go and just give in to the crazy to enjoy this maze. But so what happened in the room was basically it was like a dungeon kind of thing.
It's like a fetish.
A fetish room.
Yeah.
And I had to get chained up to a wall. And strange and weird things happened, and then we were let out.
It's not as strange and wonderful as it could have been, I suppose. I mean, again, we had our media faces on. I think we were a little less crazy than we could have been.
Yeah.
But something had to happen to Casey in order for him to get released. So that happened. It was not as bad as you think.
No.
But
not according to what the pictures were on the wall that could have happened.
Fun fact that we found out after we went through is the camera that this gentleman has is a legitimate camera that takes actual photos that he has kept and put up on the wall.
Yeah, it's a Polaroid camera, so they'd just pop out and then he'd pin them to the wall. So if you did something exceptionally awesome, you probably got your picture taken and it was up on the wall. I'm sure they're going to destroy those pictures.
They might have to.
Yeah, but
it's pretty...
for the run of the event, your picture was proudly shown on the wall of that room.
Lots of wing.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
And then you were let out after that room. And was there another... I'm trying to think of what happened.
That might have
next.
been the wallpaper room that you walk through after that. The order might get kind of messed up.
Yeah, because we did go through the wallpaper room twice. So that's one of the rooms we went through both on the naughty and the nice side.
Mm-hmm.
So basically what there was is there's points where it's like a choose your own adventure maze. So the first rooms you could pick naughty or nice, and then you went through, I believe it was the wallpaper hallway.
Oh wait, you know what? We did go through a room before we went into the boudoir because we had the stuff on our face.
Oh,
so we went in and
that's
saw
right,
that
because it was a
girl.
naughty room, and so it was a room we got
And she marked you with the coal.
with the coal. Yeah, so you got coal marked on your face.
Yeah, that was
show
so
that you're
like
naughty.
she had a present for you, and you had to close your eyes and hold out your hands. And I was expecting like a dildo or something gross, but it ended up being like either it was makeup that was kind of like watered down, or it was like charcoal that had water added to it. But it was some sort of like charcoal-esque paste that got smeared on your face.
Yeah,
and it was gross, but it was kind of cool.
yeah,
Like it was an
yeah.
interesting mark to wear. But that happened, and then you went into the boudoir room.
That's right.
So, okay.
Yeah,
It's all coming together.
forgot they had to mark you naughty.
Yeah, that's how they knew at the end of the maze, like, oh, you went through the naughty.
Yeah.
Because of that. Okay. So we went and, so that was the first elf you saw, and then you saw the cross-dresser, and then I think then you went into the special wallpaper hallway.
Yeah, so the wallpaper hallway there was an elf in there, and all over the wallpaper it said like lickable wallpaper. And if you didn't really pay attention to it at first, it just looked like it was green wallpaper with candy canes all over it. But it wasn't necessarily all candy canes. There were some candy canes, but there was also some...
Well, they were candy cane shaped.
Candy cane phalluses.
They were little candy canes that on the little curved part, like the hook at the tip of it, looked like a little tip of a wiener.
Yep.
But it was delicious, as it turns out, because to get through, you had to lick the wallpaper. And I tried to pick one that may not have been licked before
That was
to try to get a fresh, peppermint candy cane wiener.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if that worked or not. But
so,
it
was it actually flavored?
It was.
Really?
It was pepperminty.
I never had to do it.
It was. Well, you missed out. You're just going to have to lick more wieners. Expand your horizons, Casey.
They all taste like peppermint.
Well, maybe that's in your control. Like, it's choose your own adventure.
Yeah.
So yeah, that hallway was fun. The girl that worked that was fun.
And then after that, I think we went through one of the first claustrophobic maze type situations.
Oh, yeah, you kind of flipped around, made a U-turn. It was blackout through there, and it was like one of those tight quarters type mazes. Yeah. And we ran into a monster, and we thought, oh, we went the wrong way. And he's like, no, you went the right way. I'm like, okay, good.
Yeah,
it's hard to tell.
Fun. Yeah, because it was pitch black, and the walls, maybe like a 2-foot.
They were really thin. And the way that it's designed is it's not terribly linear, so you don't know if you're supposed to double back on yourself. Yeah. Like, it's really easy to get
confused.
To get stuck. And we did get stuck. We ran into a full dead end and had to go all the way back.
Yeah, but there's not really any room to turn around very well, so you kind of have to scoot out backwards.
Scuttle backwards.
Yeah. So those were fun. And then the next room... I think the next choice was between, was it the poop show and the elf balls?
Yeah. You can say bad words, right?
Yeah.
So the shit show.
The shit show. That's right. It was the shit show.
Yeah.
So the first time we did the elf balls, we wanted to go play with the elf balls. And that one was really cool because it looked like a sleigh. And you sat inside the sleigh, and it was like a little dark ride where you had like a bucket of snowballs. And there was a monster at the end, and you basically just had a snowball fight where the elf pushed you through the room on the little sleigh, and it was cool. It's a lot of fun.
It was oddly immersive.
Yeah.
And a lot of fun.
And then after that was just kind of like a weird section of a bunch of pillars and doorways, and you didn't really know where you were supposed to go, and it had that Santa with the hatchet.
Oh, yeah.
And we totally got lost in that the first time.
The inflatable one?
No,
or the room where you walk around and there's a Santa above the fireplace?
No. It was just like all pillars. There's like pillars everywhere. Oh. And you just go through, and there was a Santa with the hatchet.
Oh, see, I don't even remember. What was the hallway with the slidey hallway?
The slidey hallway?
Yeah, the plexi hallway. Was that kind of near?
That was after this.
Okay. So we walked through the weird pillars and the things, and then we walked into
And then we did the slidey hallway with they brought back from like, I don't remember, like 2010 or 9 or something.
I have no idea.
This plexiglass sliding room where it has a fake, like a projection door. I'm sure you've seen them in haunts before, but it's like this door that's part movie screen, and like things happen. But it's actually behind like a plexiglass slide, and it kind of hides the slide, and there's a talent that will slide down and land right in front of you. It's a really cool effect. They used it the year that they did it in the haunt, I think it was a little better because you really couldn't see the plexiglass.
Yeah, it was dark, and it looked like they were just flying down. And I think they were actually sliding.
Well, yeah, they were actually sliding. This time they were using it more like a slide at a playground.
Park, yeah.
Yeah, but... So they might not get as much speed.
It was cool. I mean, it wasn't terribly scary, but it's still weird to see a monster like go
fall down the middle of a hallway. Yeah, it's kind of neat.
To fall towards you, even if it's in slow motion.
Yeah. And then, we did after that was the inflatable room, which was great. So, you go to Walmart or Target or whatever, and they have all those Christmas inflatables, like the snow globes and the Christmas trees and whatever.
Teddy
bears, like the little blow up things you put in your yard and they're lit up. So it was a room just packed with all of those. And hidden among it was one of those amazing blow up, is it T-Rex?
It's a raptor or a T-Rex or some adorable dinosaur.
If you watch YouTube, I'm sure you've seen them ice skating and wrestling and whatever else. That's the costume that it was. It's a blow up, I think it's a blow up T-Rex. And
so cute.
They had somebody in the T-Rex costume running around and having a good time, chasing you around through the inflatables. It was a lot of fun. That was a cool room. And a really good use for those props. Like, that's one of those props where you would never think of putting that in a haunted house, but it just worked so well.
It showcased their disturbing nature because they were slightly out of their element. Yeah. It showed them for what they were, which is creepy. They're like standing alone without a scene behind them. Those things are just odd, and unnatural. And so a room filled with them was really like it was creepy. It was effective.
And then you had another. You had another. I'm trying to think if there was another choice room after that or not.
Wait. After that, did you start going through the Gremlins hallway?
Was that the Gremlins hallway?
I think it may have been.
Oh, yeah, it was. So it was the Gremlins hallway.
Mm-hmm.
And then it went to the Grinch and the Who.
I think so. Then we walked, and then we went through Mary's room.
Well, there was the Grinch and the Who, and then he had a choice. He had either the...
Oh, he'd walk you through the fudge packing room or...
Yeah, it was the fudge packing room or the Santa, Mrs. Claus room.
Yeah, I like Santa's...
So we did the fudge packing room first, and again, Veronica got chosen. I don't know why they like to pick on you.
I don't know.
But you got chosen for, like, almost everything.
Did I?
Yeah, like, I only got the tied up to the wall and then the dentist thing that's later on, but...
Oh, yeah.
And then I think you did pretty much everything else.
Really? I didn't feel like I did that much.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay.
But anyway, we went to the fudge packing room and they had this wall of butts, basically, with like chocolate fountains coming out of them. But one of them was clogged up. And so, of course, you have to stick your hand up the butt to unclog the chocolate fountain.
Yeah. And you pull out like corn and a Tootsie Roll and some other weird... I don't know what substance it is. Like it's not anything gross, but like it's really bizarre. Yeah. And I guess I put my hand like too far in because I hit really the edge and I smacked my knuckle on the edge. And I'm like, how far is this thing supposed to go? And the guy's like, you got it. You're fine. You can go. I'm like, I'm just having a really good time in here. So we did that. And then from there, did we go to the dentist?
No, we went to... It was one of the rooms where we had to crawl under something, and then we ended up in the Krampus area. But I can't remember what we had. It was a fireplace. So we went into somewhere, and I can't remember what happened, and we had to crawl through the fireplace. And then we ended up outside in the Krampus section with the guy that was up on the fireplace, the second fireplace.
We got lost in there, too.
Yeah, because they had like some Christmas trees, and yeah, it was cool. It was cool. It was beautiful, but then like I guess I was so not used to having to crawl out of a place that I couldn't imagine for a second that we would have to go through the fireplace. Yeah. So you just come into the room and it's like, oh, there's no way to get out. You feel stuck. But once you get it, you know. Yeah. And then you had to crawl through a second fireplace and you end up in another room. And then I can't remember what was next. There was like another hallway, and then we ended up in the dentist, which was what's his name? Hermie from the Rudolph movie, the claymation Rudolph movie. I don't know. I don't remember. So that's what that room was supposed to be, because if you looked on the wall, it had like the blonde wig with the hat, and then like the sign outside, it says like Hermes Dentist or something like that. But that's the character. He was the elf from Rudolph that didn't want to build toys anymore. He wanted to be a dentist. And so that's where that room came from. And it didn't hit me until like a couple of days later. Like, oh crap, that's what that room was all about. It made so much more sense because it seemed really random. Yeah. But then I was like, oh, it makes sense. Okay. I thought they were just being, weird and wonderful. Yeah. And then there was more stuff. More hallways. There was another maze section that we went through. I remember that. That one I thought, that may have been where we could have gone one of two ways. And we went the same way twice. I think that might be where it is. But I guess we don't know because we don't know what that other section was. Well, I know what it is. Well, we know what it is. But so what this other section was that we missed was what they called like the ice tunnel. And it was another crawling section, but it was much longer. So rather than just having to go through like a 2-foot long fireplace, this was like you had to crawl through this thing as a maze. And there was a section where you had to crawl across plexiglass. And there was a frozen elf underneath it. And they could actually reach up over the plexiglass and grab at your sides as you're walking across them. And it sounded really cool. But also I heard it was brutal on the knees because crawling on hard plexiglass for a long period of time is not comfortable. Yeah. I mean, we still had to go through something. I think the
before we went into that little outdoor area, we had to crawl through. We had to go underneath because there were 2 ways to go, and we had to crawl through, and we crawled over a body.
That's right. There was one where we had to crawl over like a dead body.
But it was all carpet. I don't remember it being like plexiglass anything.
Mm-hmm. And then...
Or maybe there was plexiglass on the side of that.
Yeah. I don't know. And then that was a long crawling section. I remember that. Mm-hmm. And then there was the reindeer training section where they make you get on all fours, and there's like a dungeon master reindeer, or there's like a reindeer in leather.
It was like it bondage. Was a dom and sub situation where the subs were the reindeers. And the dom was just a dom.
Yeah, and so they make you get on your hands and knees, and they have a whip, and they make you walk like a reindeer.
They make you prance
around.
Yeah, and again you have to crawl through a hole, so you're prancing through. Oh, that's where we go through. You prance through the hole, and then the elf either puts you into the shit show. No, or puts you into the fudge packing room, or
that's right. That's right.
Okay, that's where that goes.
I knew, there's gonna be totally disjointed because it's been a while since we went through it. And then there was, I'm trying to think of what else there was. There was a room with like snow, right? There was like a snow effect going on.
There was almost like a burlap-y type maze where you had to go through some like bits of white cloth and through some burlap, and there was a Krampus there.
Yeah.
That was kind of like a transition from one scene to the next.
And then there was the end section, the very last section, which had like a bunch of kind of like frozen dead dudes on the walls.
Oh, you have to walk through the Snow White vagina hallway first.
Oh, and then that's right. They had a claustrophobia hallway. I totally forgot about that.
So you walk through...
But it was neat. It was like
It was a whiteout.
A whiteout one. Yeah, it was interesting.
Yeah, it was cool. And it's all like pretty. There's pretty like lights that look like snowflakes falling all over it. And it's all like the wind is blowing. And so you're going through the vagina hallway, and it's like... It feels like it's pushing you, like as the air is going through, it just kind of wobbles you from side to side. And then you go through to the last little switchback area where you, there's like the dudes in the wall, like in the corners.
Yeah.
And they look super real. Like,
yeah, they did. I thought for sure one of them at least was going to be real.
Yeah. And then there's one talent there, and that's it, and then you're out. Yeah. So there's probably a bunch of stuff that we forgot that we may or may not remember later,
but it was a long maze. Like, it took a good while to get through it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was really impressed with the size, knowing what they went through for Halloween to get up and running, how big that thing really was.
It was a lot of square footage. And then having the opportunity to see it, with the house lights on.
Yeah.
The next day, we saw just how big this thing really is. And it really does take you across that entire building. Mm-hmm. From front to back, they utilized all those.
So then the second time we went through, we did the nice path, which the nice path, you go into the nice room, we made an elf, and you get candy canes, which was great.
Yeah.
And then you went through mostly the same stuff, but with a few things. So instead of taking the elf balls section, we did the shit show the second time. And the shit show was basically, it was like 4 or 5 toilets. You're basically in a bathroom. 4. And it had stalls. They're like 4 stalls, and you got to pick a number 1 through 4, and you had to stand in front of the stall that you picked. Mm-hmm. And then Mr. Hanky from South Park had a little wheel with numbers 1 through 4 on it all over, and he spun it, like a game show, and whichever toilet it landed on got spray. Or no, I had to go because I got mine on there, and I stick my hand in the toilet, and nothing happened to me.
No, that's the fun part. Is it's not the number. The person who, if say Casey was on number 2 and I was number 4. If number 2 came up, he had to put his hand in the toilet, but it was number 4 where the talent pushed the button and water sprays out of the toilet.
Yeah.
And the toilet is lined with what looks like poop, so you just think you're getting splattered with shit.
Yeah.
And it's hilarious.
It's pretty awesome. But I didn't get immune from it because as we were walking out, the last toilet he sprayed me like good. Like I got wet really good.
Yeah.
So everybody gets poop on them.
Yeah.
It's the shit show.
That was the shit show. I thought that was pretty funny.
It was awesome.
And you can tell
that was one of my favorite rooms. The snowball fight and the shit show were pretty fun.
And then the other one you can go through, there's the option of going through the fudge packing room or the Mrs. Claus room.
Yeah.
So the Mrs. Claus room, I guess Mrs. Claus has let herself go.
Quite handily.
Yeah, so she's just flopped over a bed that takes up the entire room.
It's like basically a California king.
Yeah.
Like, this thing is huge, and she covers the entire bed.
Yeah, I mean, it's a prop. It's not like a real person.
Yeah, it's not a real person.
There's a real person in there that kind of guides you through what you need to do, but basically you need to...
So basically the story in the room is that this elf is there to service Mrs. Claus because Santa Claus doesn't want to deal with her anymore.
Yeah.
And she has a lot of needs that need to be taken care of.
And her girth is such that she can't take care of them on her own anymore.
Yeah. So that's what this elf's job is.
Yep. And so she passes the torch on to you.
Yeah, and so you have to climb on the bed and make your way across.
I thought that it was going to be like the fudge packing room where you're going to have to put your hand in something. So I prepared. I rolled up my sleeves and lifted up the skirt thinking I'm going to have to reach into her cooter. and the talent's like, no, you just have to climb on top of her. I was like, Jesus Christ.
You're like, oh, that's so much easier.
I was like, God, I thought I was going to have to violate this woman.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, fine. We can climb over her.
Yeah, that was actually one of the easier rooms, even though it seemed it was going to be one of the grosser ones.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be disgusting. And you just need to climb on top of her? Oh,
yeah.
Shit, okay.
And then was that the last of the Choose Your Own Adventure rooms, or was there...
there might have been that one more after that we don't really...
We don't, yeah. I don't even know where exactly it branched off, but...
Yeah, I think that's the only alternate thing.
Yeah.
So then that was Friday we went? As guests?
Yeah, so we went on Friday, and we were leaving, so we went to go say bye to the guys, and thank them for letting us go in there, and they're like, hey, do you want to work it tomorrow? And we were like, yeah, sure. So they're like, okay, just be here at 5, and so we're like, all right.
It's kind of a theme with Sinister Pointe, because we love going there, and we love scaring there.
Yeah.
And they know that if we're available, we're going to do it, and do it to the best that we can.
Yeah.
So when they asked, and we're like, absolutely. Like, what do you need us to do? And so we showed up, and there wasn't really a plan for us. Everyone had been there already. They all had parts. They had assignments.
Mm-hmm.
They had makeup ideas. Like, everyone
was
set.
This is definitely a room or like a haunt where it's like, if you have a talent that's good at one of these rooms, you need to keep that talent there.
Yeah. Because
with most of the rooms, you really have to be able to read the guest and know how far you can push them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a really hard thing to do with something that a lot of people can be inhibited with, which the talent that they have is amazing at it. They can read people really well and know how far to push them and how uncomfortable to make it.
Yeah, and they had also been practicing. They'd been open for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
But they have good talent there for all their events. So they definitely had a pool of people who knew what they were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So when we came in, it was basically just fill in the blanks. There were some people who weren't able to make it, and they called in sick or, had other obligations. So there were just natural blank spaces here and there that needed talent, and that's where we ended up.
Yep. So I ended up in the snowball room fighting all night with guests, which was amazing. Had a lot of fun, just hucking snowballs at people.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
That's fun. And I ended up at the very end. There's the hallway with the dudes that look super real. I was at the very end of that hallway, and then just mostly because I had my slider gear with me. Duh. So I was able to slide out in the front and entertain people who are in line, and then I was able to get them as they were waiting to see Santa and to get their picture taken. There's like a walkway that you can go through, so you can get them as they're coming out, get them as they're going in, entertain them in line, mess with people, that kind of stuff. So I had actually a really big space to play around in and keep entertained and have fun.
Yeah. And it was freezing cold out there, so
It was bitter cold. I mean, we thought it was cold on Friday, and it was, but it was colder on Saturday.
Yeah, it was 30s, I think, out there.
Really,
it was cold.
Yeah, it was in the 30s.
And there was no heaters out in the line.
No, so it was just these people just freezing their asses off. And, I was running around like crazy, so I stopped being cold after about 20 minutes of running around. But you could see the people outside just like shivering and like going crazy. I'm like, I gotta entertain these people. Because they like, after the lunch break, the natives were getting restless.
Yeah.
Because it was cold. They'd been standing out there for a long time. Like, you can tell they were pissed. Yeah. I'm like, okay, let's go. Let's go give them some love. So, not in the nasty ass Santa Claus way. That's Santa Claus. He can do that.
Yeah.
Totally. We entertain ourselves in a different way. But it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, so what did you think about working it? Like,
I always love working Sinister Pointe.
Did you take your character a little more on the nasty side, knowing as a guest what the maze was like, or did you stick to kind of what you know from Haunt? How'd you play it?
I played it on the safe side. I was more silly.
Yeah.
Like because some of the girls had the equipment to play it sexy. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. They looked really, really good. I had like elf pajamas on. So playing it sexy was not going to be effective. And I didn't look particularly scary. I never do. You know, I looked just like, you know, a dainty little thing, you know. I never really came off as aggressive. So I didn't think aggressive was going to be the way to go. So obnoxious and silly is the avenue that's safe for me as a talent. I just go with that. So that's what I used, and it worked because there's not a lot of that. There's maybe in the snowball room might have been the only other place where that may have worked, where it wasn't specifically talent, like story driven. It was just a fun thing. Yeah,
our room was definitely a lot more silly.
Yeah. And so that might have been another place where that could have worked.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just a lot of startle scares, some great sly-ins, just farting around, having fun, poop jokes, dick jokes, you know, the normal. Yeah. This is normal banter at our house anyway. But yeah, I thought it was a lot of fun. How about you?
I had a lot of fun. I didn't get my room wasn't really about interacting voice-wise because it was all about the snowball fight. And I had a mask on, so it's kind of hard when you have a mask on to talk to people or say anything because then it just comes out sound like... I want to eat the food. What? I want to eat the food.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it was more about just goofing off and having fun, playing target for the guests because, you know, some of them would really try to belt you like, you know, as hard as they could.
Of course.
And it was fun. Like, I would try to I was basically dancing around, giving them a moving target. And then as I'd throw the snowball, I'd try to catch them out of the air and chuck them back at them. And it was pretty fun. But the funny thing is I couldn't see the guests in the sleigh. So once they were seated down, the way the lighting was in the room, you couldn't see them. I could see the sleigh coming, but I couldn't see where their heads were. Oh. So basically I was just chucking snowballs into the sleigh and I was hitting people right in the face. Oh, so they're smacking them in the face all night because you can't see. So you're just like right in the forehead and the face. It was a lot of fun.
Right in the forehead and right in the face. Do you want to share the story of your scaring partner's special prop?
Yeah. So my scaring partner for the night was Timothy at the Knott's Network. So if you follow the Knott's Network online, and if you're a Scary Farm fan, I'm sure you probably do, or you're a fan of Knott's Berry Farm, Timothy, who runs Knott's Network, was my scaring partner, and he was the elf that was pushing the cart in the room. And he had a really nice friend that was a dildo, and so... he would start pushing the cart and wait for me to start chucking snowballs at them. So then now all their focus is on trying to hit me with snowballs. And he would pop around the side of the cart with this dildo and start smacking people in the face with it. And it was the funniest thing you would ever see. Like the reactions that you would hear, which was so freaking hilarious. Ugh. I mean, we were just laughing all night. It was so much fun.
We're such children.
I mean, just imagine you're sitting in a sleigh having a good old snowball fight, and then it's the dildo comes out of nowhere and slaps you in the face.
And it wasn't purple. It wasn't polka dotted.
No, this was
a very natural pink.
This is it was a very natural looking.
Veiny.
Yeah.
Different colors. It was very anatomically correct.
Yeah, I would say it's probably not a cheap dildo either, because, to get one that nice looking, I'm sure, is not that cheap.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I kind of wish I had more knowledge on that, and I don't.
Let's Google. Where's Google?
Dear Google, how much? Well, if you go to the Wish app, you can get anything.
Well, yeah, but then it's like $5 and it has lead in it.
Oh, that's true. I wouldn't want lead down there.
No.
But for that purpose, it might be fine.
Yeah,
I mean,
why
it's
not?
only trace amounts.
Just trace amounts of radiation.
It's not like they're touching, mucous membranes or anything with it. It's just their face. They're not putting it in places.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah,
it's
but
fine.
that member piece ended up being quite the star in our the post-night photo shoot. The cast pictures.
It showed up in a lot of photos.
Yeah. Well, Wangs tend to do that.
They do.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's pretty much Sinister Pointe. From a guest perspective, give it a 1 to 10 rating. What do you think it was?
Oh my God, I don't even know. Maybe I would give it a higher rating. Like I'm saying, I'm going to give it an 8. I know they could have done more had they had more time.
Yeah.
Because I know what they're capable of. But I also know that they had to squeeze this in pretty quickly. So with what they had and the amount of space and notice and time, it was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely knowing that they could have done more.
Yeah.
So it's 8.
I think I'll agree with you. Give it an 8. Just for the sheer ballsiness of it.
It was fucking
Because, I mean, we knew what it was the first year because we worked it.
Yeah. But it was different. It was more like hillbilly-ish. It was...
Well, because they were playing off the theme, but we were all elves. It was elves and stuff. But it was like... It was definitely more... It wasn't so far on the sexualized side. It was just more on we're going to twist Christmas. And then there was a little bit here and there of dirty stuff. Like Santa was there. We had the herpes hallway.
Yeah.
So there was a little bit,
elves.
but nothing to the extent of what it was.
Yeah.
So it's definitely morphed into something that I would say is almost like a rated R maze.
I would say definitely rated R.
Yeah.
They don't wash their mouths, which is appropriate for...
And they don't allow kids.
Yeah.
They've actually...
It's 18 and
People
up.
have brought kids and they just flat out said no.
No. I would... No.
The good thing is they let you go in with just your group, which is great because they said that they've let people in as multiple groups, like maybe 2 sets of 2. Mm-hmm. And it's really hard because then when you get into these situations, you're in a room with people you don't know.
Yeah.
And you don't know what they're comfortable with. And so I think it would ruin the experience because you really have to be with people that you're comfortable doing crazy things with.
Yeah.
To make it fun.
Definitely.
So yeah, solid 8.
Yeah. It was awesome.
Totally awesome.
I'm curious to see what they do next year with it.
Yeah.
If they have the same spot, which they might not. I know that they've had some trouble with locations, which I imagine is, a pretty common problem in our particular line of work where we love to do haunts, but landlords don't like haunts.
Well, yeah, because they'd rather have a 1 or multi-year contract as opposed to a 3-month short-term contract.
Exactly. And they don't know what kind of damage that we're doing. Like, they just don't know what happens. Crowd control, liability issues, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah,
so.
Which is a bummer because, I mean, if you have an empty space, you're losing out on money.
Yeah.
You're just leaving money on the table, that could be going into your pocket just because you don't want to lease it out for 3 months in the hopes that someone's going to come around and say, hey, I want to lease it right this second.
For 4 years.
Yeah. So,
because
even if you rented it out for 3 months, you could say, you know what, the unit's available in December.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal. If somebody is starting a brand new business or a franchise wants to come in and open a store in that spot, they're not going to care if they have to wait, a month to get started.
They might care that they think that the haunters are going to damage the property in some way.
Well, but that's why you put it in the contract, with the landlord that you can't damage the property. It's easy as that.
Yeah. I think there's still a stigma. Like, they don't understand it. They wouldn't go to one, so they just don't get it.
Yeah. It is what it is. It's a tough business to be in.
Yeah, it's not easy to be successful in that. Is
unless you own your own building, and then you got free reign.
Or you have something like this is something that we've talked about a lot. Like we work in the same building for our our daylight jobs, and we go for walks every now and then. And we have long talks about what we would do if we had a building that we could have year round. What kind of business could you have? Or, use for that space where you can have a 4 or 5 year lease and have a space to do the haunt that you've always wanted to do and a place to store everything when you're done. Like, it's one thing to do a haunt, but like with Huntington Haunt, built this badass haunt. Now we have nowhere to put it.
Yep.
And so now we have to build a whole bunch of stuff. We have to start all over again. We have to find all those new props. We have to do everything again because the only thing that we were able to store were the walls.
Yep.
So...
it's
a business.
It is.
Like with anything, it's a fun business, but you still have to deal with landlords and insurance and
permits,
permits,
cities, and all kinds of crazy stuff.
And marketing and advertising. Ugh, that breaks my heart what they had to go through.
Yeah, it's one of those things that you're like, I love haunts and I want to make a haunt and it's great. But like all businesses, you go into it to do the thing you love, and the thing you end up doing is paperwork. You
never you don't spend nearly as much time doing what you love.
Yeah, and that's part of business, so.
Yeah, the perfect, situation is to find somebody who loves the business part and have them do all the business, and then you can fly in and do the creative stuff because it still needs to happen. But a lot of the times that stuff gets pushed off to the last minute because of all the logistics and all the bureaucratic nonsense that has to happen.
Yes.
So just have to be.
So advice to you, all you want to be haunters out there, find a business partner that doesn't want to do a haunt but wants the opportunity to run a business.
Yeah, like a Hermes Conrad, but in the haunted industry.
Yeah.
Someone who loves paperwork.
Yeah, exactly.
And just gets off on it. And
luckily at Huntington Haunt, we have a crew. The Rotary Club takes care of all our business affairs, so we get to just design and deal with props and that kind of stuff. But
there is still some business acumen in there. I mean, there's working within the budget, there's working within the timeline, making sure that everyone's happy as far as the fire department and the layout and everything. But that's part of the creative process, is fitting your vision into the box that they provide.
It is, yeah. And to be honest, having boundaries spurs on creativity.
It does.
And so you're like, these are the boundaries I have. Okay, let me see how I can make this gigantic idea I have, fit into these boundaries. And it really forces you to become much more creative in order to get it to work. And whether that's money issues or size issues or whatever it is, you'll eventually work it out and it'll be really good. So...
Yeah. It's kind of neat too. Just gives you a place to start. I mean, when you're blue skying, you have no starting point. You have no springboard. But when you're told you have this much space, you have this much money, and you have this much time, go. It forces you to think outside of your normal defaults into what you might put into attraction, or what route a place might take, what props you might use. I mean, just looking at the thing on the wall, like how many times it's evolved.
Yeah.
Because of, like, just kidding, you have this much space. Oh, no, wait, now you can't go over here. Watching it just change and change and change. And it's become compact and precise and awesome.
Yeah,
it's
like
very
really good.
Intentional. But that takes, time. And we totally got sidetracked, didn't we?
We did, but that's okay, because, we're going to be ending the podcast here. We had a great time at Sinister Pointe. Thank you to Jeff and Paul and Danny for letting us come and hang out and also work the attraction for a night. It was
thank you so much, you guys.
It was the only scaring we got to do all season. We had to wait till December to do it, so...
Yeah, but all that pent-up craziness definitely made it out in one night.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
It was a great time, and thanks to all of the cast members as well who, took us in. Like, most of them didn't know who we were.
Yeah.
And just saw strangers and like, hey, welcome. Here's the costumes, here's makeup. Have fun.
There was only a couple people that we knew that were from the old Sinister Pointe days, like Brandon, who wasn't even working as the Santa the night we worked. Yeah. He had the night off.
Chris was there.
Chris was there. I know Timothy and Mary from Knots Network and Fright Zone.
And a couple people.
There was a couple people from through Facebook that I knew that I haven't met in real life, but now I have. So that's cool.
Even some people that we knew through Haunt, through the Decay Brigade.
That's right. Yeah.
Had, like, first and second connections to people.
Yeah.
So it was neat.
And Nicole was doing makeup from Decay Brigade. She's one of the makeup artists at the Decay Brigade crew, and she was working makeup at Sinister Pointe that night, which was neat.
She did the makeup for the dude that was in the crossdresser.
Yeah.
Oh man, it was so good. So amazing. Definitely a highlight.
Yeah. And D-Star Photography came out. If you haven't seen his stuff, go look up D-Star Photography on Facebook. He took tons of pictures from Sinister Pointe. Some of them are definitely not safe for work or your kids, so, use your discretion when looking at those.
Definitely.
But definitely follow him because he goes all over haunts, Scary Farm, everywhere. But on top of that, he does a lot of red carpet shoots and stuff, so you'll see tons of celebrity photos on his blog.
Yeah.
So that's really cool to see.
And then Cindy Spin as well.
Cindy Spin, you can follow Cindy Spin on Facebook. She travels along with D-Star, and she does Facebook Live stuff all over the place, and it's always fun, especially when she does Facebook Live from their house about the fish tank. If you haven't seen her fish tank casts, you have to check it out while she's yelling at Dave about his stupid fish.
It's pretty awesome.
It's a lot of fun. And then for us, follow us on Instagram at Tales from the Fog. You can follow us on Facebook at Tales from the Fog. You can follow Veronica on Facebook or Instagram. Instagram's V's Voices.
Veronica Voices. Or, yeah, Veronica Voices.
Veronica Voices. I have a Twitter, so you find me there. You can follow me, but I never post.
I don't either.
I don't really use Twitter. And I have a YouTube. I don't know, I haven't really uploaded anything, but there's some awesome Decay Brigade videos and some music and whatnot on there you can check out.
Is that the Chaos and All? Or is that
it's just under Casey Neihart because they forced me to change it to my name.
Oh.
Because you know how Google, I don't know, for some reason Google went on this kick. They wouldn't allow you to not use your real name as your YouTube page, and I tried to, it could just like click don't change, and I did that forever, like almost a year straight. Every time I logged in, it's like, change it to your name, and I was like, no, and then finally it didn't give me a choice.
Oh wow.
So yeah, now it's just under my name, Casey Neihart. You can find me there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Chaos and All has a channel anyway.
It does. I don't know what the password is for it anymore.
No, you can just search for it because I found when I was pulling together the stuff for the demo reel.
Oh, you found it?
Yeah.
All right, we'll look up KSNL, so that's good.
Yeah, but the Casey Neihart stuff has more relevant stuff, like the Decay Brigade things and more recent things are there.
And I think Spyglass Dance is still up if you want to see some of our fire videos.
Oh, maybe that's it. Not Chaos and All, but Spyglass Dance.
Yeah.
They're kind of one and the same.
Yeah, we have Fire Troop, which hasn't been doing a whole lot lately because they're everywhere now.
Oh, yeah, everyone kind of just like is touring the planet. Yeah. Basically, everyone's everywhere.
But we do have some of our fire shows up. There's an amazing video of, we did a Video Games Ignited show, and there's a video that our good friend Itzel performed, and it's Silent Hill, and we have a full-size pyramid head as part of that segment, and it's amazing. So if you haven't seen it, go over to this, just look up Spyglass Dance Silent Hill, and you'll find the video. It's freaking amazing.
So good. So good.
But yeah, I think that's it. Do you have anything else to plug?
Giggity. No, I think that covers everything.
How's your body holding up after all your stunt training?
Oh man, I want to keep training.
Yeah.
I'm excited. Now I just am playing the waiting game. I'm just waiting to hear back and see what the next step is.
Yep.
I'm excited.
All right. Well, that's it, guys. Until next time, we'll see you in the fog.
Bye, guys.
Bye.